Welcome to this week's lesson segment on Weekly Outdoor Plus, brought to you by Barbershop, 2400 Church Street, Stevens Point, where they have the most wide variety of vacuums, sewing machines, and parts you can need, and great service to go along with it. So get your notebooks and pencils out, because it's time for your lesson segment with myself, Jace Hintz, and Weekly Outdoor Plus. Welcome to this week's lesson segment on Weekly Outdoor Plus. Jace Hintz here. We're going to be going over different ways to be prepared for when you're in the woods or shooting tournaments and stuff, on how to know the range you're shooting at, the distance. You know, there's a lot of different things that play tricks on your eyes. Makes it hard to learn how to judge yards and everything, and you don't always have a rangefinder with you, which is a very good benefit too. So we're going to start out by basically when you're every single day you can practice judging yards, and I highly recommend it. I know a lot of people that I shoot against in like their backyard, say you walk out their patio, they'll have stakes in the ground at 20, 30, 40 yards, and they'll sit there and they'll just, you know, judge off the ground. Okay, there's 20, there's 30, there's 40. It's just kind of a mental image, knowing how far each one is, kind of muscle memory type deal. Another thing too, like when you're hunting in a tree stand, especially in different places, I mean, having a rangefinder is very beneficial. The common ground I find is if you don't have one, basically, you gotta first find a distance that is well known. Like most people that shoot their bull will especially start out at 20 yards. Like if I'm shooting a 3D tournament, that's the first landmarker I find. I always look for trees and stuff. Find a tree that's in line, you know, find something really close to the path you're shooting and say, okay, that's 20 yards, or that's very close to 20. Now I think it's an extra 5 yards. Okay, we're shooting 25 yards. Practice doing things like that, like especially if you always have a rangefinder on you and you're always shooting in your backyard and stuff. Practice without it first. Walk up to the target, judge how far you think it is, and then check. Do that every single time. Even if you're on a 3D course, I mean, it's a very beneficial way to get more practice on how to do it. The more you practice, the better you're going to get at it. Another really big thing that I enjoy doing, especially if you're hunting on field edges, from basically the base of your tree, figure out what your 20 or 30 or 40 yards is. Put down landmarkers, whether it's a sticks in the ground, you have little posts, so if you have little flags, hang them up. Put your scent at a certain distance. Anything you can do like that will definitely help you out and prepare you better for your shot, because the biggest problem people have is, again, you know, rushing your shot and not judging your yards. That's a huge deal where, I mean, you don't want to miss that one shot of a lifetime. So yeah, I mean, my tip this week is practice. Practice doing that as much as you can, no matter what you do for a living. You know, say you're a UPS driver, walking from house to house, pretend you know how far it is. Take a guess. Front door is 20 yards. See if it's 20 steps. That's going to be very close to 20 yards. The average, you know, full-grown person's pace is about 1 yard. You know, it might have to stretch it out a little or a little less, but pretty simple, pretty straightforward way to judge, you know, at least out to 20, 30 yards. So yeah, practice judging yards no matter what you're doing. You can always practice, and if you don't have a rangefinder, that is something that is very, you know, beneficial, something to look into. And if you're a big bow hunter, look in getting one with arc so that you can do it out of your tree, and it'll actually tell you the difference in variation, because the more straight down you shoot, the farther it actually is. Then the farther out you go, the more it actually evens out and makes it not as big of a difference. So yeah, tune in next week. We'll have more different ideas for you, and if you have any questions, feel free to call Bucks and Bulls, or if you want to repeat on this, check us out on the website or on Facebook. All right, thank you, have a good week.